So a couple of weeks ago, I got a phone call that I thought I would never receive. It was from Kobe Bryant. And I'm sure you'll find this surprising, but just a few hours before that phone call, I actually did not know who Kobe Bryant was. I know that you find that incredibly surprising, knowing me. I did not know what sport he played, let alone what team. And I certainly had no idea how relevant he would become in educating Americans on the power of words. But as you would suspect, I learned quickly. Now, this all came about, as you probably recall, because the prior evening, after having received a technical foul, which I also did not know what that was, but apparently you don't want to get one, Kobe Bryant angrily shouted a homophobic slur at the referee. Now, it ended up being a teachable moment that we were not going to let pass. 12 hours after, HRC repeatedly called Kobe out for his behavior, and after a harsh rebuke and a hefty fine from the NBA, Kobe wanted to apologize to me because he recognized that his behavior was utterly unacceptable. Now, I believe that his apology was heartfelt, and that the lightning fast way in which this incident was resolved indicated to me that a profound change is at hand. Now, we have had a number of transformative events recently that, again, to my way of thinking, indicate that something bigger is afoot here. Now, the situations and the people in each are different, and outward appearances might suggest that they are disconnected, but they're really not. To me, they're all signs of progress. Now, there's the stuff that we know about, the victories that we have worked on together to achieve. After more than 11 years, we finally passed into law the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act. And as you saw on the video, with wide bipartisan support, a bill that would repeal the discriminatory institution known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell is now running. And you have read about the Obama administration's mandate that America's hospitals start treating their LGBT patients and their families in a welcoming and a respectful way at long last. And yes, a deep sense of injustice was lifted when our president, Barack Obama, stared down the Defense of Marriage Act and announced that he would no longer stand behind a law that was so clearly unconstitutional. But then there are these events that seem disconnected, but are actually part of an increasingly clear pattern of progress to me. After 5 days of pressure and bad press fueled by the Human Rights Campaign, with your help, the Republican National Committee took down a vehemently anti-gay aspect of their website. There is George Bush's daughter, Barbara, now embracing marriage equality on our behalf in New York. And this very morning, the New York Times reported that Republicans, many of them conservative Republicans, have contributed $1 million to our campaign in New York State to pass the marriage bill this year. And earlier this week, one of the meanest, most rough and tumble hockey players in the NHL, Sean Avery, added his name to a growing list of supporters of marriage equality. Now, this already big development, which, to me was a huge deal, was even bigger when the team Avery plays for, the New York Rangers, publicly supported him in this effort as well. Now then, just yesterday, none other than Charles Barkley added his name to the list of people supporting marriage equality. Someone told me that y'all like Charles Barkley down here, and I didn't get it. But. And then there's King and Spalding, one of the nation's most prominent law firms, dropping a case that dooms our families to great emotional and financial hardship. Now, as The Economist magazine pointed out, this is the way social justice happens. Not with a bang, but with white shoe law firms becoming uncomfortable taking up these kinds of cases. Now, we took some flack for that in our role, but you know what? I would do it all over again. And if we made it such that no law firm in America will defend the indefensible, then good for us. Now, all of these seemingly disconnected events indicate to me that we are at a tipping point in our society. At long last, solid majority of Americans from all walks of life view discrimination against LGBT people as shameful. And yet, while hearts and minds are increasingly with us, we can never forget that virtually every victory remains an epic battle. Our opponents recognize that they are losing, that they are on the wrong side of history, and they are furious about it. So what do we do about it? We put the accelerator to the floor and we finish the job. Now, I know that you are going to join us as we defend ourselves against the likes of John Boehner. Because even though Americans oppose DOMA, he has committed our hard-earned tax dollars to defend it. Well, John Boehner can fight history, he can seal his role as this law's great defender, but we will not allow him to sell it as justice, not ever. And I know that you will be on our side as we fight the anti-gay amendments that are intended to slow down or weaken Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal. Well, as Georgia's own Congressman Hank Johnson told his colleagues this Wednesday night, having openly gay Americans serve in the military is not a sign of the apocalypse, it is a sign of progress in this country. I know that you will be on our side as we secure marriage in more states, as we work to eliminate the taxes that you pay on domestic partner benefits, or as we open up employment opportunities for transgender Americans through a new program called Back to Work. And here in Georgia, you can count on HRC to continue working collaboratively with Georgia Equality to activate our membership and help fight for state legislation that gives our community equal protection under the law at long last. Now, by being here tonight, by supporting the Human Rights Campaign and sticking with us through the ups and downs and ebbs and flows that mark any movement for social change, know that you have brought us to this tipping point and you have made this work possible. So thank you all for being here and have a wonderful night.